What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to go over a couple things on the car that I found out. This has to do with the fuel leak. Something if you're getting gas smells inside the cabin when you're driving, mainly when you stop. If you come up to a stoplight or a stop sign or stop and go traffic, things like that, and you get a real strong smell of gas inside. I'm going to go over the things I found to get it fixed. It's very simple. If you want to go a little more in depth with it, yeah, you can make it more complicated than what I did. But I'm at least going to run over what I found. That way you guys, if you have this problem, you can get it fixed, get back on the road and do that Subaru thing. So let me show you real quick. So I noticed this the other day, or actually it's been a couple weeks. I was driving and I could have a real faint smell of gas inside. But this past weekend it got really cold and it seemed to get a lot worse. And I went ahead and popped the hood, and one of the first things I found was up here on the fuel filter. Is the feed line coming in had some, was wet and had some gas on it on the outside. So obviously I had a leak there. Luckily I had a pocket screwdriver on me, was able to tighten that up. Now, a pocket screwdriver shouldn't be able, in my opinion, to tighten this up. It should be to the point where you wouldn't have to worry about it. But I did. I got it tight. It stopped leaking. But I then noticed down under here, where I got my light, that this hose back in there's one fitting and then another band right there. It was really leaking back there. I could actually see it dripping out when the car was at idle. So what I did to fix it was basically just tighten those up. Now, you have that same hose on the driver's or the passenger side of the car as well, where you're going to run into that problem possibly. You can't really get to it. There is one down there. Same theory. It's the line that's feeding the injector rail. Now, I was able to just tighten everything up and then I ran the car. Haven't had a problem since. But it may be something like that hose is cracked, or you may have a dry rotted hose and need to look into it. Now, I looked around, at least in colder climates such as Minnesota, Michigan and things like that, that you're going to run into that problem, and they actually issued a recall on these. Now, unfortunately, it was only in about 18 different states, and in Ohio, where I am at, that recall isn't offered, so I didn't get to take it into Subaru, have them take a look at it. But I tightened those up, didn't have a problem. I'm going to keep an eye on it. It's still, early January here, so I'll see if it comes back. But my best guess is that the rubber hose actually shrinks up when it gets cold out. And since those are screw-driven hose clamps, they don't tighten up when the hose shrinks, so that's where you run into that problem. Outside of, just tightening them up, like I said, you can look to replace those hoses and different things, different types of hose clamps. But I found just tightening them up was no problem. All I had to use was a long Phillips head screwdriver, so something pretty long. That's about an average size one a little longer, because you do have to get into intake manifold. If you want to really get in there and get down and dirty and actually replace those things, it would require taking the intake manifold off. So that wasn't something I wanted to get into. I was actually up in Cleveland working for the weekend, and I just wanted to get it home to see if I could really work on it. Unfortunately, that same weekend, the battery died, which I knew that was coming. It was just unfortunate it all happened at the same time. I was pretty frustrated, but we got a new battery put in. Obviously, we tightened up those hose clamps. Now, no fuel leak. So, if you guys are having that problem, look at those first. Those would be the first places I would look. And if you see any residue down there, definitely tighten up the clamp. See if that fixes your problem. Let it sit, let it dry, start the car back up, and see if you got any problems. Outside of that, I got nothing else for you today. As always, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any questions about the car, or your car in particular, or even want to see me do something to the car, or have questions about it, just leave them in the comments below. Do that subscribe thing. That's always helpful. Other than that, I'll see you guys later. I'm Bull Money. You guys should check out my pants today, though. This is like, I was sitting in my house and decided to come out in my pajama pants, but yeah.